Hey guys, how are you? So I recently posted my Pan That Palette 2019 update, and currently I'm working on my Morphe and Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette, but previously, within the last 2 months or so, I posted my Pan That Palette 2019 finale for my Tarte Make Believe in Yourself eyeshadow palette and their Hamptons Weekender little contour palette. And a lot of you were asking me, like, how do you do it? How did you pan this palette so fast? And I do have a list of tips here. I've done some tips videos before, so I'll link them down below. But since I recently finished a palette and I finished it rather quickly, I thought it would be fun to do a how I panned a palette in 6 months video. So one of the factors that helped me finish my Tarte palette was that I already do have a heavy hand when it comes to makeup. I'm just, I guess, an aggressive person when it comes to applying makeup. I have a heavy hand, so I will use like stiffer brushes and I guess dip in a little bit harder compared to other people, where I know a lot of people have a very light hand when it comes to eyeshadow and they struggle to hit pan. But using a heavy hand doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be wasting the product. It's just maybe you'll pick up more product as opposed to if you're using like a lighter hand or a lighter brush. Another way that you can use up a palette pretty quickly is that if you pick a palette that you actually really like and love. I really liked the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself eyeshadow palette because I was getting into color a little bit, and they had some really beautiful metallic colorful eyeshadows in there, as well as some beautiful neutrals as well. I was able to get a lot of use out of the palette, clearly, because I did pan it very quickly, but it was just a really beautiful palette. So I'd definitely suggest picking a palette that you enjoy with colors that you'll wear daily, and then maybe some pops of color so you don't get too bored. My next tip that I have is that I would pick something that you already have significant progress on. I already had some pan in the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette, and some of the eyeshadows were very close to being done, so I was able to get through those shadows very quickly. And since it already had progress, it already gave me like a leg up on getting more progress on the palette. Another tip that I have is to multitask your eyeshadows. In my Tarte palette, I had like a pinky gold shade, which I would use as a highlighter. I also mixed it with the actual highlighter shade in the palette to make it a little bit lighter. And I used the Myth shade, I believe, as like a contour shade and as an eyebrow shade. So definitely multitask your eyeshadows if you want to get through them quickly, especially if you're using like an eyeshadow as a blush. You're using it on a bigger surface area of your face, whereas your blush area, like your cheeks, is a lot bigger than your eye. So multitasking your eyeshadows is definitely a great way to get through your products faster. Another tip is that use denser or scratchier brushes. I do have a couple Morphe brushes, and they are kind of known to be a little bit scratchy, and they definitely help me pick up the product a little bit more, especially if the eyeshadow is definitely more densely packed. I know Tarte shadows, especially their mattes, are like that. I had one matte shade in my Tarte Make Believe in Yourself eyeshadow palette, and using a scratchier, dense brush definitely helped getting the product up. This is one of my favorite tips because I just think it's so fun to do, and you can make Franken shadows or Franken powder products with your eyeshadows. So the one I have here, I've mixed like a bunch of different eyeshadows and highlighters in this little compact right here from e.l.f. This was originally the Pearl Glow highlighter that I panned, and I already have a new one. But this is my Franken blush that I have currently. And it has so many different colors in here. I think I have like 5 different products mixed in, and I'm actually wearing it on my cheeks today. It is super glowy. It's honestly probably more of like a blush topper than an actual blush, but it's super pretty. So here's a swatch of my Franken blush, and I love it so much. It's been so much fun to make Franken products. I also, when I did have my Tarte palette, I made Franken eyeshadows with them when I ran out of certain colors. I loved the shade Marvel in that palette. It was a really beautiful metallic lime green shade, but I mixed 2 of the blue shades and then like a yellow gold from one of my other palettes to make a green shade, and it was so pretty. So it's definitely fun to make some Franken eyeshadows. You can make colors that you don't have in your collection, which is really fun. And this tip is my number one tip for going through eyeshadows faster. I would scrape a little bit off of the eyeshadow each time so you have enough for one use, and it's definitely helpful for eyeshadows that are very densely packed. And shimmers, I think, are the easiest ones to hit pan on, so this is easier for me to do. You could just scrape off some of the shimmer product on top, use it for 1 or 2 uses for both of your eyes, and it definitely helps you get through the product faster, especially if you've already hit pan on it. Just scrape off a little bit at a time and it'll expand the pan like immediately, and you'll just be using enough for one use so you won't actually be wasting the product. And my last tip is pretty much self-explanatory and one that I'm sure you guys already know, but you need to be wearing your eyeshadows daily or almost daily to make significant progress on them. I wear makeup about 6 days a week, sometimes 5, and sometimes on days that I film, I will do multiple looks because I would be wearing the makeup for like all day, and then I'd want to change up my look or something. So it's definitely important to be wearing your eyeshadows very often because you won't be making progress if you only wear them like once or twice a week. So those are my tips and factors on how I panned my palette in 6 months, and I'm so happy I finally sat down to do this video because so many of you guys have been asking how I get through my shadows so quickly. So I hope you guys find these tips very helpful, and let me know some of your tips down below if I didn't mention any of them. I know a lot of you guys are really awesome at panning eyeshadows, so I would love to hear your tips as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I also have a horse channel if you want to check that out. It is called CNK Equestrian. I will link it down below. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys on my next one. Talk to you later. Bye.